Good morning, dear students. Let's start here the 11th chapter, composition and structure of the atmosphere. And here we're going to see about the atmosphere, how it has been composed, and we will study about the structure, that is about the different layers of the atmosphere. And we will also study in this chapter about the global warming, its causes and effects. So let's start here with the introduction. Well, all of you know, first before I start this chapter, let me show you this figure here, this picture. And here if you find here, this picture shows about the different realms of the earth. Well, already in the previous classes you have studied about the different realms, and the earth has three realms. What are they? So they are the atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere. In the previous chapter you have studied about the lithosphere, then one chapter in which you have studied the hydrosphere, and now from the chapter 11th you will going to study about atmosphere. Now usually if you will find about the earth has a very unique environment, and the environment of the earth, it supports life, because already you know that the earth is known as also as the unique planet. Now what are the things which makes our planet earth unique? So all of you know that the life which exists on our planet, and the life exists only in our planet, and it has not yet been found in none of the other planets in the whole universe. So all the stories about the aliens and everything, this is totally all hypothesis, and there is no truth in it, because yet nothing has been found. So till now the life exists only on earth. Well, that makes our earth a very unique planet. Now what are the things which actually supports life on earth? So if you find here the hydrosphere, lithosphere and the atmosphere, these all three realms together, they interact with each other, and with that actually it just forms a very unique environment. And in this environment there is life, which this environment actually, which is also called biosphere, and this supports life. So the life doesn't found in the whole atmosphere. If you'll find the atmosphere is found up to 10,000 kilometer altitude, well, the life is only found in the lower layer of atmosphere, not in the very high altitude. And then on the earth also, on the surface, not inside the earth. Then even in water also, not everywhere. The deepest part of the ocean are there where the life doesn't exist. Why? Because the light even can't reach there. Well, so the life exists in this narrow zone. Now where these three realms, that is atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, they interact with each other and they forms one environment, we call it earth environment, that actually supports the life, and that makes the fourth realm. Now it is not consist as the fourth one, but this is known as biosphere. So it is not a fourth one, but it is a term. So biosphere, already I explained all these things, is a term. Well, so here if you find many things, if you find there are the water cycle, there are the heat cycle and the balance between the two, and there are the oxygen cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, and there are so many cycles actually which supports life. Now how actually these respective cycles, they support all these things, like the water is being maintained over the whole earth, even on the land, in the atmosphere, everywhere, by the cycle that is called water cycle. The same way the respective cycle, they just maintain all these things which are very very essential. We can say that they are the very very essential elements which supports the life. Well, so from this chapter we are going to see about atmosphere. And so for the first question arise here, that what do you mean by the atmosphere? So atmosphere, if you'll find in a very simple language, we can define it that the envelope of air surrounding the earth is called atmosphere. Now it is written here, the envelope of air surrounding the earth is called atmosphere. Well, this is a very very general or simple explanation we can give, or we can say about the atmosphere. Well, so atmosphere is a very very thin layer containing the number of gases. Now there are the so number of gases are found in the atmosphere, and even beside all these gases, the dust even are found. Now these dust which are actually mixed with the air in the atmosphere, usually we also call them SOM, that is solid organic matter. SOM in short form. Solid organic matter are the very very fine dust particles which actually are suspended in the air. Now they are so fine that they becomes a part of the air. They mix with the air and they becomes a part of the air. So it's very difficult for them to get suspended. They are already suspended. So it's very very difficult for them to just settle down. Well, so this is how all the gases they also contains. The second thing is the SOM, we also call the simple language dust, and the water vapor. So water vapor, all of you know, that is the humidity that is mixed in the air, we call it water vapor, right? Well, together, so this is how you can say the atmosphere doesn't contains only the gases, but it also contains the suspended, that solid matter, that is dust, we call it, very fine particles of dust, and also the water vapor. Now there is not a very small amount of water vapor, because water vapor actually it forms a very very large part of the atmosphere, and this is why if you will study further that how this presence of water vapor it also affects so many things, not only in the atmosphere but also affect the whole weather conditions there in the different parts of the earth, and also affects the life on the earth. Well, we'll see afterwards. So we have seen here about the atmosphere, and that is atmosphere is an envelope of air that surrounds the earth is called, well, atmosphere. Now what is the air then? Air is, you'll find it is a colorless, tasteless and odorless substance. Now this air is a mobile air. Mobile means it can move. So it is elastic, means it can stretch, it can compressible, it can be compressed. Now this is some important characteristics of the air. Now here about the air, one thing is we can't feel air. Now air, when we talk about the air is the air means the composition or the mixture of gases which are found in the atmosphere, that is the air. So what are the winds? Now when you see about the winds, the moving air is called wind. Now not all the moving air. So there is a air in the horizontal motion is known as wind. Now there is a two type of movement takes place in the air. One is a vertical movement also takes place, and another is the horizontal movement. So wind is a horizontal motion, that is horizontal movement of the air, that is known as the wind. Well, now this air also has got a weight. All of you know the air has weight. So what happens, the air just creates a different weight there and on the different parts of the earth. So the air, the all type of air, because you see the air is can be warm, can be hot, or air can be very very cold. So all these airs according to the temperature, what happens, they have the different weight, and because they have the different weight, so they exert a different pressure on the surface of the earth, and we call it atmospheric pressure. So very simple language is written here. The weight that is exerted by the air on the surface of the earth is called atmospheric pressure. Well, now next move to the composition of atmosphere. Now composition means that which type of gases together forms the atmosphere. Well, this atmosphere is found up to the height of 10,000 kilometers, that is around the earth. Well, now there are the two types of gases are found in atmosphere. Now the two gases, if you find the most important gases which are found are the nitrogen and oxygen. And if you find nitrogen constitute, that is in the approximately in the round figure it is 78%, and oxygen forms a 21%, and together they forms 99% of the air. So 99% of that air that is formed by the two important gases, and what are they? Nitrogen and oxygen, and both the gases are the life supporting gas. So here is only the 1% is left that remains, which actually is mixture of the all the other gases. Well, so according to the basis, on this basis of the composition of gases, this atmosphere can be categorized or can be divided into two layers. What are they? Heterosphere and homosphere. So let's see about the heterosphere. Now what do you mean by heterosphere? Now heterosphere, they have the two layers again, and what are they? They are the thermosphere and second is the ionosphere. Now this ionosphere, it lies within the thermosphere, and let's see about the heterosphere first of all. So when we talk about the heterosphere usually starts from 80 kilometer. At the altitude of 80 kilometer, the heterosphere starts and it extends up to 10,000 kilometer. In approximately, we can say that from 80 kilometer up to the 10,000 kilometer, this layer is known as heterosphere. But here in this layer, usually you will find up from 480 kilometer, means from 80 to 480 kilometer, this layer is known as thermosphere. So I think you have understood. So from 80 to 480 kilometer, the layer is known as thermosphere, and in this thermosphere, at the same height, means you can say that within this thermosphere there lies one functional layer known as ionosphere. So we'll see how this ionosphere is known as a functional layer. Now this ionosphere lies within the thermosphere. That's why usually we call it thermosphere. You can see here in the book also, thermosphere, ionosphere extends from 80 to 480 kilometer in altitude. Well, now let's see from 480 kilometer. From 480 kilometer up to 10,000 kilometer, this layer, it contains very light gases. So heavy gases are not found between 480 to 10,000. So only very light gases like hydrogen and helium gases, which are very weak, and we can say very weak bound of gravity, and because they are so light in the weight, and that's why only these gases are found between 480 to 10,000. So, and this layer from 480 to 10,000, usually we call it exosphere. Well, so usually this is the layer which is we say the outer atmosphere. Well, now, so we are going to see only especially the important thing is the thermosphere and ionosphere. Now, so I told you about the thermosphere. Now this thermosphere, that is a very important layer, because this layer contains it actually affects you can say why it is called thermosphere, because this layer, it protects the earth from the very highly active or high radiated rays. Now how? Well, now let's see here about. Now here one thing is there, within the thermosphere there lies ionosphere. Now what is ionosphere? Ionosphere lies the particles which contains negatively charged particles. So the ionosphere, they contains negatively charged particles, and these negatively charged particles, they act as they also call as a functional filter. Means they actually, what is the function of this layer? They act as a filter. They act as a filter to what thing? The harmful wavelength of solar radiation. So I told you there are so many very harmful, very highly radiated gases, the highly solar radiation, right, and which can be very harmful. So usually what happens, these ionosphere, which contains the atoms which are electrically charged, we call it negatively charged. Electrically means negatively charged. So these atoms composed of the electrically charged particles or negatively charged particles, usually they act as a reflector. So they act as a reflector, and what they do? Now usually we will find here. So usually they absorb the cosmic rays and the gamma rays. Now because of this only, because they absorb these rays, the cosmic, all the highly radiated gas, like it means like cosmic rays and the gamma rays. So this radiation being absorbed by these gases, and that's what actually give them the electrically charged, or you can say negatively charged. Well, now this negatively charged particles together, because all this layer, this ionosphere, it also act as a reflector. Now reflector to what thing? Reflector to the radio signals. Because of this ionosphere, what happens? You can see from India, we can catch the radio signal from Britain, BBC. Well, why? Because these radio signals, once it is transmitted, so what happened? This ionosphere, they again and again they reflect it back in the earth. They don't allow it to just escape the atmosphere, and this is how the radio waves, they just travel within the atmosphere. They are not being escaped, and this is how the different station they catch the radio waves. Well, so this is the function of the heterosphere. Now let's move to the homosphere. Now homosphere, as the word homo, as all of you know, the word homo is used for the life, well, especially for the human beings. Well, so homosphere usually is found up to 80 kilometers, from 0 to 82 kilometer. Now this is the most important layer, usually which contains the gases like the oxygen and nitrogen. These are the life supporting gases, and they forms the lowest layer known as homosphere. Well, because the life exists in this layer, well, that's why it is also known as homosphere. The word homo, I told you, it is related to the life. Well, so usually if you find, even in all these gases, there are several gases are found in the atmosphere, but in all these gases there are some very, very important gases if you find here, which are found in this atmosphere, especially in the homosphere, because mostly all the gases are found in the lowest layer, that is up to 80 kilometers. Now what are they? Let's see here in the book. So we have seen the nitrogen, that is 78%, and oxygen, that is 21%, constitute the major part of the atmosphere. But the remaining 1% of the air, it consists of some important gases like argon, that is 0.934%, carbon dioxide 0.33%. So these argon and the carbon dioxide, they are also very important gases. Well, beside this, there are all other gases. They are very, very less in number, or less in percentage. So let's see about here these four important gases, right? And the first one, as you can see here, is nitrogen. So nitrogen, as you can find, it is the major gas. It constitutes the 78%, and it is not easily into the chemical union, means it can't very easily react with the other gases. So usually the nitrogen, it remains neutral. That's why you can find the nitrogen gas usually is used, especially in packing. In packing also the nitrogen gas is used, and it neutralizes everything. Now the nitrogen, why it is so important? Because if you find the nitrogen that has been absorbed in the soil and utilized by the plants, so they helps in the growth of the plants. And the plants are the first primary food. They provide the food to all the living beings, animals and the human beings. Well, they are the first producer, we can say. Usually already you have studied all these things. So they are the category of the producer, the first primary producer. Plants known to be the primary producer, and usually on the plants depends all the life. All the life means they depends upon the plants. Second is the oxygen. Now oxygen is a very highly active chemically and combines very readily with the other elements. Now that is why oxygen, if you find, it is only 21%. Now why, when the oxygen is so highly active, why in the atmosphere it can't very easily react with the other gases? What is the reason? The reason is 78% nitrogen. So this high amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere of the earth, it actually neutralizes the atmosphere and doesn't allow the oxygen, that is only 21%, to react with any other gases or forms any compound. Well, but here if you find about the oxygen is a very highly combustion gas. It helps in what thing? Combustion of fuel. Without the presence of oxygen, it's impossible for the combustion of fuel, right? So it represents what thing? The rapid form of oxidation. Oxidation means, what is the meaning of oxidation? All of you must be knowing. You have studied in the chemistry, when the oxygen react with the other substance. Well, next is the carbon dioxide, and as you can see, carbon dioxide constitutes 0.033%. so it's a very small part, but it also plays a very important role in the atmosphere. Why? Because this carbon dioxide is utilized by the plants. What for? they takes carbon dioxide in the presence of sunlight, and in the presence of chlorophyll, what they do, they prepare their food. So this is how the carbon dioxide is very, very important. And so carbon dioxide, it helps in the which process of photosynthesis. Well, so this is how carbon dioxide is very important. But in the atmosphere also, if you find, the carbon dioxide also act as a greenhouse gas. Together with the dust particles and the water vapor, it absorbs the heat during the day and keeps the atmosphere warm during the night. Now this is known as the greenhouse effect. We'll see afterwards also in the coming part. Well, the last one is the argon. Now argon just forms a very, very small amount, very small percentage, and already you know that the argon that constitute only how much? That is 0.934%, very small percentage. But here, this also, what happened? Argon also act as a natural processes. Means argon is also which type of gas? It is, well, the one thing you all of you know, it is usually extracted from the atmosphere for the commercial use, especially in the industrial use. What for? Light bulbs and the welding, etc. But why it is used in the light bulb? The argon gas actually is also makes utilize everything, right? And that's why in the atmosphere it also plays a very, very important role. In the atmosphere, argon also plays a very, very important role. And this is how actually these gases, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and the fourth one, argon, they are the very, very important gases which helps in what thing? They helps in life, the existence of life on the earth. Now here you can find here this pie diagram here. This shows that how the nitrogen forms a larger part of the atmosphere, and oxygen also, and this very small part 1% that forms what thing? Argon 0.93, and carbon dioxide is even less than argon, that is 0.033%. Well, so this tells you a very clear picture about the composition of the gases in the atmosphere. So today this is the first session. Now the next session we will start and we will see about the structure of the atmosphere. So all of you just read this chapter, and very quickly all of you just check all of you check the last session of all the chapters, not from the beginning, but the chapter after the examination, after the first semester. You check the last session of all the chapters, not tomorrow, but very soon I will publish some important notes there, and you can either download it or either you can write it. So very soon you will get the information that you have to write the notes in your copy, and you have to submit there in the school. Date will be given to you. So get ready all of you and start writing, preparing your notes. So important and brief notes I will provide you, and you will get where. So time to time you just check the last session of the chapters, that is after the first semester. So slowly and slowly I will provide you the notes. Right now I am busy providing the notes to the class 8th, and as I will finish it, then I will start providing the notes to the class 9th chapter wise. So all the best.